Hello, sleepy traveler. Welcome to another long, gentle journey through history. The kind of history no one ever taught you in school, but just maybe, you'll drift off halfway through. Tonight's story takes us back, way back, to ancient Mesopotamia, a place where river reeds swayed in the hot wind, where temples rose out of clay brick cities, and where the gods demanded devotion in the form of offerings, chants, and the endless labor of those bound to serve. This isn't the story of kings or heroes. It's the story of someone much quieter. You are a priestess slave, born into the rigid and sacred world of a Mesopotamian temple in the city of Uruk, sometime around 2000 BCE. Your life is not glamorous. It is not tragic, either, just long, ritualistic, and ruled by forces greater than you. Gods, priests, and the deep hum of the river that never sleeps. Before we begin, I'd love to know, Salon Wallowin, what time is it where you are right now? And where in the world are you watching or listening from? It's always fascinating to see how far a sleepy story can travel. So go ahead, get cozy, lie back, close your eyes if you'd like, and let the quiet footsteps of history carry you somewhere far away. The sun rises slowly over the wide, flat plains of southern Mesopotamia. There are no trees here, no green hills or quiet forests. Just clay-colored earth, reed marshes, and the winding, powerful curves of the Euphrates River. The air is already warm, and the day has only just begun. You are born in the city of Uruk, one of the oldest and most enduring cities in the ancient world. Your mother is a temple servant. Your father is unknown. Perhaps a laborer, perhaps a priest, perhaps no one of consequence. It doesn't matter. Your future is already decided. Here everything is recorded. In clay, not paper. Thin styluses pressed into damp tablets. You are listed in a tablet kept by the temple of Inanna, the goddess of love, war, fertility, and justice. The temple scribes know your name, your mother's name, and what you will become. You will serve, not because you are special, but because your mother owes the temple something, a debt, a promise, a tradition. You are the payment. Uruk is massive for its time, tens of thousands of people, spread across neighborhoods of mud brick homes. There are canals running between houses, reed boats tied at the banks. The streets are dusty and uneven. Goats and dogs move freely. Children shout and chase each other. The smell is constant. Earth, heat, dung, and river. At the center of everything is the ziggurat, a stepped temple that rises like a mountain from the plain. This is the house of Inanna. This is where you will live. You will not live with your mother. She is from the lower quarters, a washerwoman for the temple linens, her hands forever cracked from cold water and lye ash. You will be raised by older women of the temple. You will sleep in shared rooms. You will eat from shared bowls. You will be clothed in simple linen, if there is enough. There are other girls like you. Most are quiet. Many are sickly. Some will not survive childhood. Those who do will be shaped by law, order, and dust. In Mesopotamia, law is everything. Long before you are old enough to understand words, you are bound by codes far older than you. The laws of Uruk, and later of Ur and Babylon, govern every part of your life. There are tablets that say what you may eat, what you may wear, how you must be punished if you disobey. These laws say that girls like you, given to the temple, may not own land, may not marry, and may not bear children. Your body belongs to the temple. Your time belongs to the goddess. You are not a slave in chains, but you are not free. You will never leave the temple unless ordered to. You will learn how to kneel properly, how to carry bowls without spilling, how to hold your eyes low when a high priest speaks. You will learn to be quiet, not just in voice, but in thought. Your first real duties are simple. You carry buckets of water. You sweep dust from the temple floors. You sort reeds by size and length. You grind flour. You press oil from seeds. You help scrape the ashes from burned offerings. The work is repetitive, slow and always watched. An older girl, perhaps 13, is assigned to train you. She corrects you softly when you forget something. She ties your hair back tightly each morning. She tells you stories at night in a hushed whisper, even though she is not supposed to speak after sunset. Her name is Azu. You will remember her longer than you remember your mother. Meals are ritual, like everything else. You do not eat when you are hungry. you eat when allowed. Bowls are placed in long rows. Bread is torn, not bitten. You chew with your mouth closed. You do not ask for more. You do not speak while eating. You do not look around. The food is often plain: lentils, barley, leeks, sometimes a bit of fish. You are always a little hungry. Hunger is not a punishment here. It is simply part of life. On feast days you may be allowed a date, or a bit of honey. The sweetness lingers on your tongue long after the meal ends. You dream about it for days. You do not learn to write. Only the boys selected to become scribes are trained in cuneiform. You see them sometimes, hunched over clay tablets, tapping careful marks with styluses. They have their own teachers, their own buildings. They do not speak to you. You do not speak to them. Instead you are taught chants, not to sing. Your voice is not permitted in the sacred chamber, but to recite, quietly in rhythm. You learn the names of the gods. You learn which incense pleases which deity. You learn how to fold cloth the proper way for sacrifice. You learn how to tell time by the shadow of the temple pillars. You are in every way shaped to serve. The days are long. The sun begins to burn by late morning, even in spring. The temple walls trap heat. The air inside the ziggurat is still thick and dry. You are not allowed to bathe until evening. Water is precious, a gift from the rivers. You use it sparingly. A damp cloth, a rinsed basin. Cleanliness is part of ritual, but waste is punished. At night the heat lifts. You sleep on mats with the other girls. Sometimes there are insects. Sometimes someone coughs through the night. There are no beds. There are no blankets, unless someone donates one. Sleep is often broken, but never wasted. The moon governs many of the temple's cycles. It is said that Inanna, the goddess, watches most closely when the moon is full. On those nights, there are longer rituals. You are awakened before dawn, and sent to the rooftop to assist with incense. You carry small pots of burning resin. You arrange flowers. You do not speak. You learn to walk in darkness without stumbling. You learn to listen for instructions before they are given. You learn to keep your eyes down, but your mind sharp. These early years pass slowly. You do not count birthdays. You do not know exactly how old you are. You mark time by rituals, the festivals of planting, the first rains, the sacred fasts. You do not remember what life was like before the temple. There are many types of women in the temple. There are high priestess, powerful, draped in jewels and linen. There are the Nedotu women, cloistered, literate and sworn never to marry. There are older women who manage the young ones like you, firm, watchful and precise. And then there are the servants, not priests, not scribes, not sacred, but present, doing the labor no one else sees. You are not one of the highborn, nor one of the cloistered. You are Karkid, a low-ranking temple servant with no official status. You are invisible, and that invisibility is its own safety. By the time you are around 10, your routines have become muscle memory. You no longer flinch at the morning bell. You no longer notice the heat rising off the stone courtyard. You can recite a full liturgy in your head, while sorting millet by hand. You are ready to begin more serious duties. Soon you will be assigned to a specific hall, perhaps the kitchens, or the storerooms, or the weaving chamber. Perhaps you'll be sent to help with ritual cleaning, or to tend the sacred lamps. What happens next will define your place in the temple. But for now you sleep, arms aching, belly half full, face turned to the breeze coming in from the high window. You are still a child, but no longer new. The transition from girl to servant happens quietly, without ceremony. One morning, your name is called by one of the older women. You bow your head. She tells you your new duty. That is all. No farewell, no celebration, no change in clothing. You are now one of the working members of the temple. You are assigned to the outer chamber of cleansing, a shaded hallway where ritual objects are washed, dried, and prepared for use. Clay jars, copper bowls, small reed baskets, and stone altars, all must be scrubbed free of ash and oil. Not because the gods care about cleanliness in the way you do, but because purity, in this place, is a symbol. You do not ask questions. You rise early. You carry water before the sun becomes dangerous. You scrub by hand, without soap. Your skin cracks at the knuckles. You keep your head covered at all times. The first rule of temple labor is silence. You do not speak unless spoken to. If you drop something, you do not cry out. If you finish early, you wait for the next task. The silence is not for discipline. It is said to be the natural state of the temple. Only the gods should be heard. You are given a wooden token, carved with your name and your station. You must wear it at all times, tied with cord around your neck. If you misplace it, you may be punished. Not harshly, no beatings, not in this part of the temple, but you may be kept from food, or made to work in the ash pits. The ash pits are where the old offerings are buried, sacred, but unclean. You do not wish to go there. Instead, you become precise. You learn how to carry 3 jars at once without spilling. You learn how to fold the edge of a linen cloth, so it does not touch the floor. You learn to sense when a priest is nearby, not by sight, but by the shift in the other's posture, by the sudden absence of sound. You notice that everyone is watching all the time, even when no one speaks. Your body becomes your only voice. The way you bow, the way you move, the way you lift and lower your gaze. These are the only tools you have to show worth. You are not afraid, but you are never relaxed. At night you lie on a reed mat and stare at the roof beams. Sometimes you fall asleep quickly, sometimes not at all. You think of the river, of the days when you used to sit beside your mother and dip your feet in the mud. That memory becomes soft, then distant. Eventually, it no longer feels like yours. Your first seasonal fast begins in the month of Tammuz. No food after midday, no speaking after sundown. You still work, even without the strength to lift easily. During these days, the temple is even quieter. Drums beat only once per day, and incense is burned at dusk in long winding lines through the corridors. The scent of cedar and myrrh clings to your linen tunic. On the 5th night, you faint while carrying water. You are not punished. You are allowed to lie down for the rest of the evening. A few dried dates are left near your mat, a quiet mercy. You remember that kindness for years. Time is hard to measure. You do not know the calendar the way the scribes do. You mark seasons by the shifts in your tasks. When new grain arrives, when the sun becomes unbearable, when the rains come, these are your markers. The rest is a slow drift through repetition. One day, you are asked to prepare for an evening ritual. You are told nothing in advance, only to wash and wear clean linen. You scrub your hands and face in cool water, tie back your hair, and wait in the chamber of lamps. A priest arrives. He says nothing. He hands you a vessel of oil. You follow. You walk barefoot across warm stone tiles, through narrow halls where the air is still and heavy with old smoke. You enter a small round chamber lit with burning lamps. A single statue of Inanna stands at the center, carved of alabaster, adorned with gold leaf and lapis. You kneel and place the vessel on the altar. The priest chants in a voice like gravel. You remain still. The oil is poured. A reed torch is lowered. The flame catches quickly. The scent rises. You stay until the fire fades to ember. Then you rise, bow, and leave. This is your first ritual. You will perform hundreds more. Always the same structure. Always the same silence. There is comfort in the pattern. You begin to feel yourself dissolve into the shape of the temple, like water sinking into clay. You are no longer separate from this place. You belong to it. The other girls, now young women, are scattered across the temple. Some are in the weaving chamber, where loud work is permitted and thread is pulled day and night. Others tend to the storage pits, where grain is counted and sealed in jars. A few serve in the kitchen, where meat is sometimes roasted for the priest's tables. You rarely speak to them now. Your paths cross only in the sleeping chambers. You sometimes share glances. That is enough. You are promoted, quietly, to the oil storeroom. This is a place of responsibility. Oil is sacred. It is used in rituals, in offerings, in fire lamps, and for anointing statues. You are in charge of recording which jars are opened, which are still sealed, and how much is used each day. You do not write, but you mark tallies in soft clay, with a reed stylus. Simple marks, honest ones. You take pride in the neatness of your lines. One evening, a priest stops to inspect the store. He says nothing, but he lingers longer than usual. Before he leaves, he places a date in your palm, a gift. You bow, you eat it slowly. The sweetness fills your mouth for only a moment, but the memory will last for months. More fasts come and go, more oil is counted, more rituals pass without incident. The heat grows unbearable, then fades. The rains return, new girls arrive, small, uncertain, afraid. You do not speak to them, but you watch the way they move, the way they hold their bowls. You remember when you were like that. You now walk without instruction, you bow without being told. You speak only when needed, and never too much. Your world has shrunk to a few halls, a few tasks, and a few sacred names. You do not miss the world outside. You barely remember it. One day, a clay tablet arrives in the store. It is marked with your name, and a short line, assigned to courtyard duties. You nod and prepare your tunic. The outer courtyard is larger, open to the sky, hot in the day, and cool at night. It is also where rituals are held during full moons and festivals, where sacrifices are made, where the priests perform chants in front of small crowds. You will assist quietly, at a distance. That is where your story moves next. Into the courtyard of offerings. The courtyard is a different world. It is not closed in by thick walls and low ceilings like the inner temple chambers. It is vast, open to the sky, ringed by carved columns and stone platforms. The ground is smooth packed earth, swept daily, and at its center lies the altar, low, flat, and darkened by centuries of fire and ash. You are instructed not to speak, not to look anyone in the eye, and above all, not to interrupt the order of the ritual. Your task is simple: bring the offerings, light the flame, then step back. You begin with small duties, carrying baskets of barley and dates, jugs of oil, pitchers of wine. The items are heavy, especially in the heat, but you manage. Your arms become stronger, your steps more careful. You know the exact number of steps between the storeroom and the altar. You learn to breathe shallowly when incense is burned too thick. The priests chant, in deep repetitive tones, the same words, every time. You do not understand most of them. The chants are old, perhaps older than the city itself, passed down through temple lines that you are not part of. You are there to serve, to move unseen, to complete the circle of ritual with silence and steadiness. Each morning, before sunrise, the courtyard is swept again. The old ashes are gathered and buried. You take turns with the others, scraping the stone altar clean with bronze knives. The smell of burned offerings never fully fades. It clings to your skin and your tunic. Sometimes animals are brought to the altar. You are not allowed to look. You turn your back, as taught. Your job is to bring the water, and later to clean the platform. The blood is not frightening, only warm and sticky. You work quietly, as always, and wash your hands before returning to the chambers. It is said that the gods require sacrifice to keep the balance of the world. You do not question this. You only feel the weight of the water jugs in your arms, and the pull of gravity as the sun climbs higher over the walls. One afternoon, a sandstorm strikes suddenly. The courtyard darkens. Dust whips through the open space. The priests retreat. The younger servants scatter indoors. You remain covering the vessels with cloth, holding your head low to the wind. Later, when the storm passes, the entire altar must be washed and resanctified. You work late into the night, sweeping and pouring water, your eyes gritty with sand. No one thanks you. That is not why you are here. But the high priest nods once as he passes. That is enough. Festivals are the most demanding days. In the spring, the feast of Inanna brings a flood of ritual offerings. Barley cakes shaped like stars, threads dyed in red and indigo. A carved statue is paraded through the courtyard, a symbol of the goddess's journey to the underworld. You carry small torches, you scatter petals, you clean the pathway where the statue passes. It is exhausting, but strangely beautiful. That night, as you lie awake in your chamber, the chants still echo in your head. You stare at the ceiling, and imagine the stars above the courtyard. You feel proud, though no one said your name. You performed your duty perfectly. The balance was maintained. Time passes in the rhythm of seasons and rituals. You become so practiced that you are trusted with more. You begin helping the incense preparers, those who mix crushed resin, oil and herbs into pastes and pellets. The scent becomes a constant companion: frankincense, myrrh, cedar, tamarisk. You learn which mixtures are used for mourning, and which for celebration. You learn to grind without coughing, to stir without spilling, to portion with exactness. Every ritual has a scent. Every scent has a purpose. You become part of the memory of the temple. There is no ambition here, no rising through ranks. You are not of priestly blood. You will never lead a ritual, never chant aloud, never touch the sacred statues. But you are dependable. And in the temple, that is a kind of honor. You begin to forget the world outside. You no longer remember what the market smells like, or the sound of fishermen calling from the riverbanks. You have not seen a tree in years, only the small courtyard fig that grows behind the storage hall. It drops one fruit each year. No one eats it. It belongs to the goddess. One evening, during a festival, a foreign visitor watches the ritual. He wears linen robes cut in a strange shape. His face is unfamiliar. He stands at the edge of the courtyard, beside a scribe, who translates the chanting. You are instructed to bring him water. After the ceremony, you bow low, offer the cup, and retreat. He does not speak to you. Later the other servants whisper about his city, a place across the desert, where temples are shaped like domes, not steps, where gods have different names, where girls like you do not serve in silence. You listen, but do not dream. That is not your world. You fall ill in the wet season. The rain comes heavier than usual. The storerooms flood. The outer walls leak. Many fall sick with fever and chills. You are confined to your mat for 3 days. An older woman brings you broth and covers your body with blankets soaked in crushed herbs. You recover slowly. When you return to duty, your muscles ache. You carry less for a while. You move carefully, watching the others. Illness is common, but death is not feared. Only disorder. Only unfinished rituals. When a girl dies, and it happens sometimes, her name is scratched from the clay roster, and her place is reassigned. That is all. You do not cry. You do not speak her name. She becomes part of the silence, as you will someday. The courtyard begins to feel like home. You know the cracks in the stone tiles, the color of the altar when wet, the way the sky turns pink just before the evening bell. You have worked here for years. Though you do not mark time in numbers, you know it by how your hands have changed. The softness of girlhood replaced by the strength of repetition. Each day is nearly the same. Each day is entirely different. And now, for the first time in a long time, you are told to prepare for night service, a ritual under the stars, where only a few are chosen to serve. You will light the flame. You will carry the oil. You will listen for the wind between chants. The night ritual is rare, and only performed when the stars are at their clearest, when the priests say the gods are most likely to listen. You are chosen not because you are important, but because you are steady. The temple favors quiet strength over ambition. You rise before dusk, washing your face and hands in cold water. You dry them carefully, and wrap yourself in a freshly beaten linen robe. Your token is tied around your neck with a new cord. You are handed a small clay bowl filled with sesame oil, infused with tamarisk bark and crushed resin. You hold it with both hands, careful not to let the oil slosh. The air in the courtyard is cooling now. The heat of the day has lifted. A dry wind moves gently across the open space, stirring the last bits of dust. The torches are lit. The altar is swept. The sacred flame will be lit just before moonrise. You wait in the shadow of a column. No one speaks. Footsteps echo across stone. From the upper hall, the priests begin their descent, their robes whispering like reeds. You step forward, exactly when you are supposed to, and kneel at the base of the altar. You offer the bowl without lifting your head. A priest takes it from your hands, and another passes you the ritual torch, wrapped tightly in soaked cloth, already glowing at the tip. You rise slowly, turn and light the center flame. The fire rises, the scent follows. The chants begin, not loud, not dramatic, just a deep rhythmic hum that echoes through your bones. You've heard these words hundreds of times by now.
but something about hearing them beneath the stars changes how they feel. They vibrate a little differently in your chest. You close your eyes and feel it. The goddess is not expected to appear. The ritual is not for show. It is a reminder, a promise kept, that people still remember, that service continues. After the chants end, you are dismissed with a single motion. You bow again, and leave. The stars remain as you walk back to your chamber, your steps soft against the stone. You do not speak to anyone. There is no need. The silence of the night will follow you to your mat, where sleep will come without effort. And so your life continues, quiet, contained, steady. One morning you are summoned to the weaving chamber, a change of assignment. No reason is given. You bow and obey. The weaving chamber is one of the busiest spaces in the temple complex. Here dozens of women sit cross-legged on flat stone floors, looms stretched before them. The walls are covered in drying thread, undyed linen, plant-dyed wool, and the rare crimson threads made from insect resin. These are used only for the goddess's robes. You are not expected to weave at first. That takes years to learn. Your job is to carry water, gather spent bobbins, sort loose threads, and wind the finished spools. It is noisy compared to the stillness of the courtyard, and warm from the bodies packed into the space. The women here speak more. Not openly, not often, but there is a gentle murmur that never entirely fades. They speak about patterns, about fiber, about repairs. It is allowed here, because weaving is sacred, and conversation when contained is part of the rhythm. You sit at the back, wrapping threads, over and over again. Your fingers become fast, your touch becomes light. You learn to untangle knots with patience. You learn to trim loose ends without wasting a single inch. One of the older women watches you. Her name is Ninaya. Her hands are thick from years of thread work. Her eyes are lined, but alert. She speaks little, but when she does, others listen. She teaches you to dye linen using plant ash and fermented pomegranate skins. The process takes days. First you soak the threads, then boil, then hang, then brush with crushed leaves. You work in silence together, and somehow it feels like conversation. On festival days, the chamber works late into the night, weaving ceremonial cloths that will be burned as offerings. You are entrusted with wrapping the finished bolts in linen, and carrying them to the inner store. The inner store is quiet, cooled by clay walls, sealed with thick doors. It smells of cedar wood and ink. Scribes work here, seated behind narrow tables, cataloging every offering. They rarely look at you. You place the bundles where instructed, bow and leave. Sometimes you glimpse tablets covered in soft triangular markings. You wonder what they say. You wonder what it feels like to know those shapes. But the thought passes. Your world is thread, and oil, and rhythm. A year passes, perhaps two. One morning, as you wind threads in the back chamber, a girl from the oil store enters. You recognize her. Her name is Shara, though you've never spoken. She carries a small clay jar. Oil for the looms, she says. You nod, and take it. Your fingers touch for the briefest second. She nods back, and leaves. It is the first time someone has spoken directly to you in days. You think about her voice, the shape of it, the steadiness. It stays with you longer than expected. Later that evening, as you wash your hands by the basin, you hear singing. Not loud, not blasphemous, just a soft melody, a temple lullaby, meant for children, usually. Someone is humming it in the corridor. You freeze, listening. It is Shara again. Her voice carries like cool water. She sees you, smiles faintly, and stops. You say nothing. But later that night, the melody is still in your head. You fall asleep with it echoing behind your eyes. The following week, you are reassigned again, this time to the storeroom of sacred objects. A rare position. The objects are not gold or jeweled, as outsiders might imagine. They are simple, but old. Clay bowls inscribed with prayers. Charred wooden spoons, worn linen veils, pieces of pottery once touched by priests. Everything has meaning. Everything is handled with care. You are trained in how to wrap them in reed mats, how to dust them with feather fans, how to record their placement using pegs in a wooden rack. You do not write, but you count, and you remember. Each object has a place. Each place has a silence. You spend hours alone in the storeroom, surrounded by the weight of invisible things. The air smells like dried herbs and thyme. Sometimes, you whisper to yourself, not prayers, just words, the ones you remember, the ones you were never taught. You say your name, then your mother's, then silence again. On the night of the harvest moon, you are called to serve in the Hall of Shadows. You have never been there. Few are. The Hall of Shadows is deep within the temple. No windows, only lamps, kept low. It is said the goddess hears more clearly in darkness. You are not told what your task will be. You are simply led there, your sandals soft against the stone, your breath steady. Inside the hall is colder than expected. The air is still. Lamps flicker softly along the walls. At the far end stands a small raised platform, covered in black linen. Upon it something lies wrapped. You are handed a jar. Inside a salve made from oil, resin and powdered stone. You are told to anoint the object on the altar. You approach slowly. The object is not a statue. It is not wood or stone. It is cloth, layers and layers of it, shaped like a human body. You understand. It is a priestess, gone, but honored. You kneel. You place the salve upon her feet, her hands, her brow. You do not cry. You do not speak. This is the first death you have been asked to serve. When it is done, you are dismissed. Not thanked, just nodded to. You leave the hall with a strange stillness in your chest. You sleep deeply that night, and when you wake, you are different. You do not know how, but something in you has changed.
You rise early the next day, just as the bells begin their low, distant echo through the temple halls. Your mat is stiff from the night's cold, but you feel no urgency. You've lived within this rhythm for years now. Your hands know what to do before your thoughts even catch up. Water, robe, corded token. You move through the morning in silence. The memory of the Hall of Shadows stays with you, but not in a loud or painful way. It feels like a layer now folded beneath your skin. You don't speak of what you saw. No one asks. The temple is full of things that are never said aloud. Your duties return to the storeroom, and now your movements feel slightly more reverent. You find yourself pausing before lifting the older clay bowls, brushing their sides with your fingertips, before wrapping them again in woven reed cloth. You dust the older prayer staves more gently. Even the shelves, once just wooden weight, feel like something worth honoring. The rhythm of the temple continues. Grain comes and goes through the gates. Water is fetched before dawn. Lamps are trimmed. Offerings are carried. Ink dries. Cloth fades. The moon grows and fades, and you feel the calendar more through your skin than through any markings on stone. There is no ceremony for age here. You do not wake up one day and find yourself called woman instead of girl. Instead, you simply become someone the new girls look at more often. They don't ask questions, no one is supposed to, but they glance more frequently in your direction when they aren't sure how to move. When they spill water or step too loudly, they look to you for the right posture. You remember being that small. You do not say so, but something soft settles behind your eyes when you look at them now. One afternoon, while sweeping the entrance to the storeroom, you see a group of scribes passing through. One of them pauses, unfamiliar. He is older, not a priest, not exactly. His robes are darker, and his hands are stained with ink. He glances at your token, then the shelf labels. "You've been here long," he says, in a voice not unkind. You know where the silver-threaded veil is kept. You nod, and wordlessly walk to the 5th row of the western shelf, retrieving the carefully wrapped bundle. You offer it, bowing. He accepts it and says, "Good." Then after a pause, you know how to read the shelf markers. You hesitate. You nod. Once. It is not a lie. Not quite. The markers are not words, not as the scribes know them, but symbols and pegs, denoting items, seasons, categories. But you've known them by memory, by repetition, by need. The scribe says nothing further. He simply nods and walks away. That night, you cannot stop thinking about the small stone tablet he carried, covered in triangular marks, so neat, so sharp, like feathers stamped into mud. You wonder what they say. You begin to look at the way the pegs are placed more closely, the shelf symbols, the oil markers, the marks on the clay tags. You begin to see patterns you never noticed before. Dots, lines, divisions. You know them by doing, but now, you begin to understand their shape. No one teaches you, but the temple teaches in quiet ways. You spend more time in the storeroom now than even your assigned hours. You linger, tidying what needs no tidying. You rearrange the feather fans and the reed brushes, not for vanity, but to understand the order, to feel the intention behind each place. And then, one day, you are called to assist a scribe, not to write, only to carry. But you are taken to the temple's small archive, a space you've never entered. The air is cool and dry, sealed by clay shutters, walls of shelves filled with tablets, rows of them, some cracked, some newly pressed, ink pots, broken styluses, thin brushes made from ox hair, lamps that burn low, so the heat does not damage the tablets. You carry bundles in, lay them on low tables, return with empty cloth wraps. That is all, but still, you are there. You hear the soft scratching of reed against clay. You smell the strange scent of wet ink. You hear the muttered voices of the scribes, as they read aloud to one another, slow and rhythmic. The way they speak reminds you of the temple chants, but quieter, personal, weighted. One scribe drops a stylus. You stoop to return it, and as you hand it back, you glimpse the clay in front of him. A simple tablet, a list. You recognize one symbol, oil. You say nothing, but your eyes return to that mark again and again. At the end of the day, you are thanked with a half smile. That is rare. The next day you are not asked to return, but 3 days later, you are summoned again, then again, the week after. Eventually you are asked by one of the junior scribes to help with copying symbols onto clay tags. You are not allowed to write the full tablet, but you are trusted to copy short marks, weights, quantities, names of common items. You move carefully, like drawing with a wet leaf. The clay gives gently beneath your hand. You do not think of it as writing, but it is. Seasons shift again. You do not notice the day the heat returns, but one morning you find yourself carrying a water jug before the sun has even fully risen, and the air is already thick with warmth. Another girl collapses from exhaustion during a midday sweep. She is helped by 2 others and taken to the inner chamber to rest. You continue your task, slowly, drinking sparingly from the jar tucked beneath the stairwell. No one complains. No one ever does. One evening Shah-Ra appears in the storeroom doorway again. She does not speak. She only sets down a small dish of cooled barley porridge, sweetened slightly with date paste. She gives a small nod and leaves. You do not remember the last time someone brought you food without being told. You eat slowly, not because you are starving, but because it feels different, tasted, remembered. Time folds around you like the linen wrappings on the sacred objects. You are older, now. Not old, but no longer watched, no longer corrected. You are simply present, reliable, steady. In the evenings you sometimes help the younger girls with their posture, their fire lighting, their vessel carrying. You do not teach, but they mimic you. The way you bow, the way you walk, you become part of their pattern, as the older women once were to you. And still, no one knows your name outside these walls. The world moves on. Carts pass through the outer gate. Sandstorms rise and fall. The market shifts. Distant rulers are spoken of in hushed tones. Floods come. Dry years follow. Priests change. But the temple endures. You endure. And now, a new message is delivered. A shift. You are to be assigned to the house of the rising voice. You've only heard whispers of it. A high chamber, near the temple's uppermost level, where certain rituals are sung at dawn, not to crowds, but to the sun itself. You are not told why you have been chosen. You only bow, and begin your walk to the upper stairs. The morning light filters softly through the narrow windows of the temple's upper halls, where you now find yourself stepping lightly, careful not to disturb the ancient stones beneath your feet. The air smells faintly of crushed herbs and warmed clay, a subtle reminder that you are in a place older than most you have ever known. The house of the rising voice is not what you expected. It is small, almost plain, but carefully arranged. Along the walls hang woven tapestries dyed in muted colors, deep ochres and faded blues, and in the center sits a shallow basin filled with water from the sacred river. A single wooden stool rests near a low platform. You are told to wait. Soon, a priestess enters. She wears a simple robe, but carries herself with quiet authority. Her eyes meet yours for a moment, a soft acknowledgement of your presence, a welcome to this small corner of the temple's world. She speaks little at first, but her voice is steady and calm as she explains your task. You are to assist in preparing the ritual space for the morning song, an ancient melody meant to greet the sun and call the goddess's favor for the day. You begin by lighting small oil lamps along the room's edges, careful not to spill the precious oil. The flame dances gently, casting moving shadows on the walls. You arrange bundles of fragrant reeds in the corners, sweetgrass, tamarisk and cedar, each chosen for its sacred scent. Next you help lay out sheets of finely woven linen on the platform, smooth and cool beneath your fingers. The priestess unrolls a small scroll, inscribed with delicate marks that look like waves and stars. She sings softly, a melody so old it feels like it belongs to the air itself. You do not sing, you listen. The sound is like a gentle wind through reeds, like water moving slowly over stone. It calms you. Days pass like this, quiet and rhythmic. Each dawn brings the rising voice, a song carried softly over stone and air. You watch as the priestess moves through the melody with practiced grace, her eyes closed, her breath even. Sometimes, she nods at you, asking for more oil or to fetch a fresh reed. You move without hesitation, feeling part of the flow. One morning, she stops the song mid-verse, her eyes open, and she looks at you differently. You have learned the rhythm, she says quietly. Do you wish to join? You hesitate. The idea of speaking aloud before the goddess feels enormous, but the silence has grown heavy inside you. She smiles gently. It is not a test, it is a gift. The next days are filled with practice. She teaches you the melody in small pieces, humming softly as you repeat after her. Your voice is shaky at first, but it grows stronger, steadier. You learn to match the rise and fall, the pauses and breaths. The song is not just sound, it is intention, a bridge between earth and sky. Singing becomes a new way to breathe. Outside, the city stirs in its usual rhythm. Merchants shouting in the marketplace, children chasing each other through narrow streets, donkeys braying as they pull loaded carts. But within the house of the rising voice, the world shrinks to a small room, a single song, and the soft beating of your heart. As the weeks pass, you notice changes, not in the temple, but in yourself. You stand taller, your steps feel lighter. Your hands do not tremble when you reach for the lamp. One evening, as you prepare the lamps, Shara appears again. She pauses at the doorway, watching you arrange the reeds. You sound different, she says softly. You smile though it feels strange to do so. I am learning. She nods. It suits you. You want to ask her what that means, but the words do not come. The next morning, the priestess asks you to lead the song alone. You almost refuse, but the memory of the gift lingers. You take a deep breath and sing. Your voice is soft but steady. It fills the small room and spills into the temple corridors. When you finish, there is silence, then a nod. You are ready, she says. That day, you feel the weight of years shift slightly. You are no longer just the silent helper, or the steady hand. You have become a voice. But the temple life remains unchanged in many ways. There are still long hours of weaving, cleaning and tending. The temple's daily demands do not lessen. You still rise before dawn, still wrap the sacred objects, still carry the clay tablets with care. Yet something deep inside has settled. The song has woven itself into your bones. Seasons continue their cycle. The heat of summer fades into the chill of winter. The temple is quieter in the cold months, but the firelight grows stronger, and the lamps burn longer. One night, during a heavy rainstorm, you are called to the inner chamber. The temple feels different, darker, heavier. A priest approaches with a wrapped bundle. It is Shara. She is ill. The illness is quiet, but unyielding. She is carried to the Hall of Shadows. You are asked to assist in her care. For days you sit by her side, holding cool water to her lips, brushing her hair, and whispering the ancient lullaby. You sing softly,
the melody of the rising voice now a comfort in the darkness. Shara's eyes flutter open briefly one evening. She smiles faintly and touches your hand. "Thank you," she whispers. You feel the warmth of her words long after she falls silent again. When Shara passes, the temple mourns quietly. There is no great ceremony, no grand lament, just a slow closing of doors, a lowering of lamps, and the soft folding of linen. You help prepare her for rest. The weight of death is heavy but familiar, and yet, life continues. You take her place in the oil store, carrying the jars with steady hands, remembering her kindness. Months later, you stand again in the house of the rising voice. You sing the melody alone, your voice clear in the quiet morning. The temple listens, and you, once a silent servant, have become part of its song. The morning sun creeps slowly over the city's walls, bathing the temple complex in soft golden light. You awaken from your modest mat, the cool air pressing lightly against your skin. Outside, the distant sounds of merchants preparing for the day drift in through narrow windows, calls for figs and barley, the clatter of wooden wheels over cobblestones, the low murmur of animals being led to water. But inside the temple walls, time moves differently. It flows quietly and deliberately, measured by the rhythm of prayer, cleansing, and service. Your day begins with the soft chant of the temple's bell. It rings through the halls, calling all who serve here to gather. Slowly, you rise and prepare yourself, pulling on the simple linen robe worn by all the temple's attendants. The fabric is coarse but clean, dyed a pale beige, that catches the early light with muted warmth. You tie the cord at your waist, a small token of your role here, a symbol of your place in this ancient world. You join the others in the central courtyard, where the priestesses and servants gather in small groups, exchanging quiet greetings. Their faces are calm but worn, shaped by years of discipline and service. There is no need for loud voices here. The temple's sacred nature demands a reverence that settles over everyone like a soft cloak. The high priestess steps forward, her presence commanding without harshness. She speaks in a measured tone, reminding everyone of the day's duties and rituals. Her voice carries easily through the air, strong but gentle, like a stream flowing over smooth stones. You listen closely, knowing your tasks will be assigned shortly. Today, you are to prepare the altar for the midday offering, a crucial moment in the temple's daily cycle. The altar sits beneath a carved stone canopy, its surface worn smooth by centuries of hands laying down gifts to the gods. It is simple, a slab of pale limestone, etched with symbols of grain, water, and the moon, but its significance is immense. You begin by fetching fresh water from the well, a task you have done countless times. The water is cool and clear, the lifeblood of the temple's rituals. You pour it into a shallow basin, watching as it catches the light and reflects the carvings above. Next, you arrange the offerings. Bowls of barley, figs, and dates are laid out carefully on woven mats. Small vessels of honey and olive oil stand nearby, their contents glistening softly. You handle each item with care, aware that these simple gifts carry the prayers and hopes of the entire community. The scent of the offerings fills the air, a mixture of sweet fruit, earth and oil. As you work, the other priestesses prepare incense and light lamps around the altar, their movements practiced and precise. The smoke from the incense curls upward, twisting and fading as it rises toward the temple's high ceiling. The high priestess approaches, nodding approvingly at the arrangement. She lifts a small bowl of water and sprinkles it gently over the offerings, chanting softly in the ancient tongue. The words are unfamiliar to you, but their melody is soothing, like the wind whispering through reeds. You bow your head, feeling the calm wash over you. After the offering, you assist in cleaning the temple's sacred spaces. You sweep the stone floors with a broom made of bound reeds, the soft bristles gathering dust and stray petals. You wipe down the carved pillars, tracing the intricate designs with your fingertips. These tasks may seem mundane, but in the temple, they are acts of devotion. Each movement is a prayer, each touch a connection to the past and the divine. Midday arrives with a soft warmth, the sun high overhead. The temple fills with a quiet hum, as worshippers come to pay their respects. Men and women, young and old, pass through the gates, their faces hopeful and reverent. Some bring offerings, others come simply to touch the sacred stones or breathe in the temple's peaceful air. You watch from the side, your hands folded respectfully. You are no longer invisible here, but neither are you at the center. You are part of the temple's steady heart. In the afternoon, your duties take you to the temple's garden, a small enclosed space filled with medicinal herbs and flowering plants. The garden is a place of calm and healing, where the sick and weary come to find relief. The scent of thyme, mint and lavender mingles with the warmth of the sun. You tend the plants carefully, pruning the leaves and watering the soil. Your fingers know the shapes of each herb, the jagged edges of rue, the soft fuzz of mullein, the delicate clusters of chamomile flowers. Sometimes, the temple's healer asks for your help in preparing poultices and salves. You grind dried herbs into powders, using a smooth stone mortar and pestle, mixing them with honey or oil to soothe wounds and ease fever. The work is quiet, but important. It connects you not only to the gods, but to the living world around you. As the day fades into evening, the temple's pace slows. Lamps are lit once more, casting pools of warm light on the walls. The scent of incense lingers, soft and comforting. You join the other attendants in a final chant before rest, a song of thanks and hope, carried gently on the night air. When your day ends, you return to your small quarters. You sit quietly, reflecting on the rhythm of the hours. The temple life may seem simple, even harsh at times, but it is rich with meaning. Every task, every breath, every silent prayer is part of a greater whole. You close your eyes and let the calm wash over you, the temple's ancient songs lulling you toward rest. The time of the year arrives when the city prepares to honor the moon goddess, a sacred celebration marked by quiet reverence and gentle ritual. As the silver light of the full moon rises, the temple takes on a hushed glow, the air thick with anticipation and the soft fragrance of blooming jasmine carried on the evening breeze. Your days grow busier as preparations begin. The temple's stone courtyards are swept clean, and garlands of white and blue flowers are woven carefully to adorn the altars and doorways. You help gather bowls of water from the river, letting the cool liquid spill gently into clay vessels etched with lunar symbols. Each task you undertake is a small offering, a silent prayer made with steady hands. As twilight descends, the high priestess calls the temple's attendants together. In low melodic tones, she speaks of the goddess's gentle light guiding the city through darkness, offering protection and peace. Her words fall softly like petals drifting on a slow current. The rhythm of her voice eases your breath and stills your mind. The festival itself is a slow unfolding, without haste or loud fanfare. Small groups of worshippers enter the temple, their faces serene beneath the moon's glow. They bring simple gifts, sheaves of barley, woven charms, and bowls of sweetened wine, each one laid down with reverence. The murmured prayers float through the air, mingling with the scent of burning incense. You stand by the altar, lighting candles one by one as the moon's pale light filters through the lattice windows. Your fingers move with quiet purpose, the soft flicker of flame mirrored in your steady eyes. Nearby, the high priestess leads the gathered assembly in a chant, her voice weaving through the silence like a gentle thread. Throughout the night, the temple hums with quiet devotion. You move among the worshippers, offering water and soft smiles, a calm presence in the soft shadows. The air is cool, the world hushed beneath the vast watchful sky. When dawn nears, the chanting slows and fades, leaving only the gentle rustle of linen robes and the soft steps of those preparing to leave. You help gather the remnants of the night, spent candles, scattered petals, emptied vessels, returning each to its proper place with care. As the first light of morning touches the temple walls, you pause to gaze up at the fading moon, feeling the weight of the night's stillness settle within you. The festival, though quiet and simple, has left a lasting warmth, a connection to the cycle of the world and the ancient rhythms that guide your life. With the city waking around you, you return to your duties, carrying the calm of the moonlit night in your heart. Each day here is woven with moments like this, small, sacred and full of quiet meaning. The soft glow of dawn breaks through the temple's windows once again, ushering in a new day that begins as all others, quietly, gently, with the steady rhythm of ritual and care. Today, however, You are to take part in something different, the sharing of stories and music, the lifeblood of the temple's spirit, and a source of comfort for all who dwell within its walls. As you prepare for the day, the scents of incense and fresh linen mingle in the air. The temple's stone corridors echo with the distant murmur of voices, and you can feel the pulse of something more alive stirring beneath the surface of the ancient stones. The high priestess gathers the attendants in the main hall, a space lined with carved reliefs depicting the goddess's many forms and her voice, soft but certain, invites you all to sit upon woven mats arranged in a circle, a rare moment of rest and reflection. She explains that music and storytelling are not mere entertainment here, but sacred acts, ways to honor the past, teach the young and connect to the divine. The songs told of gods and goddesses, of the fertile river's blessing, of the stars' watchful eyes. The stories carried wisdom passed down through generations, and in their telling the temple's heart beats strong. You listen closely as the first storyteller begins, her voice weaving a tale of the goddess's birth beneath the silvered waves of the river, her laughter ringing like soft bells. The melody of her words seems to ripple through the hall, drawing everyone into the shared space of memory and when the singer rises, her lyre cradled gently in her arms, the room falls silent. Her fingers pluck the strings with tender precision, the notes rising and falling like the river itself, sometimes smooth and flowing, sometimes wild and untamed. As she sings, you feel the melody settle into your bones, a quiet warmth spreading through your chest and limbs. The music does not rush or demand, it simply is, a slow unfolding of sound that carries you beyond the walls and into a timeless place. When it is your turn, you speak softly, recounting the simple story of the temple's founding, a tale passed down from those who came before, about the first priestesses who tended the sacred flame and sang the rising song to greet the dawn. Your voice is unsteady at first, but with each word, it grows steadier, more sure. The others listen kindly, nodding gently, their faces calm and encouraging. In this shared space, you are no longer alone. You are part of a living tradition, a thread in the tapestry of the temple's long history. The afternoon drifts by in a gentle haze of music and stories. You learn new songs and old tales, each one a balm for the spirit, a reminder that even in a life of quiet service, there is beauty and meaning to be found. As evening falls, the temple's lamps flicker to life once more, casting a warm glow over the carved pillars and stone floors. The songs linger in the air, soft as the last light of day, and you find yourself humming the melodies long after the voices have quieted. Before sleep, you reflect on the power of these simple gifts, music, stories and the shared moments that connect you to the past and to each other. They are a gentle thread woven through the fabric of your days, a quiet comfort amid the steady rhythm of temple life. As the days pass, you begin to understand more deeply how music and storytelling serve the temple and its people in countless ways. They are not just for special occasions, they accompany daily tasks and quiet moments, helping to shape the mood and flow of life within the sacred walls. Early each morning, soft chants greet the awakening sun. The priestesses sing praises to the gods, their voices rising and falling with the gentle rhythm of the river. These hymns are simple, repetitive, and calming, designed to ease the mind into the day and focus the spirit on the work ahead. You find comfort in joining these chants, your voice blending with others, a soothing current carrying you forward. During the long hours of menial tasks, sweeping floors, grinding grains, weaving cloth, songs fill the air. The melodies are light and slow, their words telling tales of fertile fields, abundant harvests, and the benevolent gaze of the goddess. As you work, the music helps the minutes pass more gently, turning chores into a kind of meditation. In the evenings, storytelling sessions become a place of learning and reflection. The stories are carefully chosen, each one holding lessons about kindness, patience, and the balance of nature. They speak of the creation of the world, the cycles of the moon, and the stars that guide the night travelers. Listening to these tales, you feel connected to something far greater than yourself, a web of life and spirit stretching through time. Some stories are told by the eldest priestesses, their voices soft but carrying the weight of They speak slowly, enunciating each word with care, as if the stories themselves are fragile treasures. Younger attendants listen with wide eyes, absorbing her wisdom like thirsty soil drinks the rain. At times, the stories include gentle humor, quiet jokes, or playful anecdotes that bring soft smiles and brief laughter. These moments are rare and precious. Light flickers in the often serious atmosphere of the temple. They remind you that even in a life devoted to service and discipline, joy can be found in small shared moments. Music also marks the passage of the seasons and the cycles of life. During planting and harvest, the temple resonates with songs calling for fertility and abundance. At times of mourning or hardship, slower, mournful melodies help ease sorrow, offering a gentle relief and the promise of renewal. You observe how these sounds influence the community beyond the temple walls. When villagers come to visit, they bring their own songs and stories, blending them with those of the priestesses. This sharing creates a quiet bond between temple and town, weaving spiritual life into the everyday. One evening, as the sun dips low and the sky softens into hues of pink and gold, you join a small group, gathered around a fire pit in the temple's garden. The air is cool, but not cold, carrying the scent of herbs and earth. An older priestess begins a story of a young girl chosen by the goddess, whose gentle heart and quiet courage changed the fate of her people. As she speaks, her voice smooth and steady, you feel the story wrap around you like a warm shawl. The crackling fire adds a rhythmic pulse to the tale, a heartbeat connecting past and present. You close your eyes for a moment, imagining the scenes painted by her words. The rushing river, the whispering tree, the star-filled sky. The story ends with a soft sigh, and the group sits in companionable silence, each lost in thought. You sense that these moments, though simple, carry deep meaning, lessons not just for the head, but for the heart. Later, as you lay down to rest, the stories linger in your mind, a gentle hum beneath the quiet of sleep. You realize that these traditions are more than rituals. They are the soul of the temple, carrying its light through the long years and countless days. With each note sung, each tale told, you find a quiet strength, a reminder that even in a life bound by service and silence, there is room for beauty, connection and peace.
The dawn arrives as softly as ever, the first light slipping like silk across the temple's stone surfaces. You rise slowly from your simple bedding, aware once again of the quiet world you inhabit. The temple walls enclose a small but vibrant community, a network of lives intertwined through duty, routine, and the shared mysteries of the gods. This morning, as you prepare yourself for the day's work, you think about those who surround you. The temple is not merely a place of worship or ritual, it is home. Here relationships, both quiet and profound, grow amidst the sacred stones and incense. The priestesses and servants, while bound by strict hierarchy, share moments of tenderness and support that help ease the harshness of their lives. Though the role of a priestess-slave is difficult and often isolating, you have come to understand the small ways in which companionship softens the weight of endless service. Your closest confidante is another attendant named Lila, a woman with a gentle smile and eyes that hold quiet kindness. Like you, she arrived at the temple as a child, taken from a distant village and raised within these walls. Over time, you have learned to read the subtle signals in her gaze, the way she reaches out with a steady hand when exhaustion settles heavily, or how she offers soft words when the day feels particularly long. In the mornings, you and Lila often share a simple meal of barley porridge and dried figs, seated on a stone bench near the temple's garden. The food is plain, but these moments together provide a rare sense of normalcy and comfort. The two of you exchange stories of your pasts, tales from the villages you once called home, memories of family faces long missed. These whispered conversations bring warmth to the otherwise austere days. The temple's community includes many others, each with their own role, their own burdens. The healers tend to the sick, moving quietly between rooms filled with the soft groans of pain and the faint scent of herbal remedies. The younger novices train in the arts of song and ritual, their voices rising shyly in the practice halls. The high priestess oversees all with a watchful, steady presence, her authority tempered by moments of unexpected tenderness. Within this network, hierarchies exist, yet bonds form as well. The senior priestesses mentor the novices, teaching not only the sacred rites, but also the unspoken rules of survival within the temple's walls. You observe how the older women guard the younger ones, offering protection and guidance, even as they maintain the strict discipline required by their station. Occasionally, tensions arise, small disagreements over duties or misunderstandings born from exhaustion and stress, yet these conflicts are rare and swiftly resolved. The temple's sacred purpose encourages a unity that rises above petty discord. There is a shared understanding, the gods watch, and harmony must be preserved. During one particularly difficult day, when your limbs ache and your spirit feels low, it is the kindness of your fellow attendants that lifts you. A quiet word of encouragement from a passing priestess, the simple gesture of a shared water bowl, or the soft hum of a familiar chant. It is these small acts that remind you you are not alone. In moments of rest, you and others gather in the temple's garden, a tranquil enclave, where the sun filters through vine-laden trellises and bees buzz softly among the lavender. Here, laughter sometimes surfaces, light and fleeting, a balm against the rigors of the outside world. The garden is also a place for quiet reflection. You find yourself seated beneath the shade of a fig tree, its broad leaves casting dappled shadows over your face. The gentle rustle of the wind through the branches seems to carry the whispered prayers of those who came before. In this peaceful space, you feel a connection not only to your companions, but to the many generations who have walked this path. Though the temple life is marked by hard labor and strict rules, the relationships within these walls create a fabric of support, a network of human connection that softens the edges of hardship. You learn to rely on these bonds, understanding that survival here depends not just on duty, but on shared strength and compassion. As the sun dips low in the sky, and the evening shadows lengthen, the temple community gathers once more for the final rites of the day. The high priestess leads the prayers with calm authority, and you join your voice with those around you, the combined sound a soothing wave that carries through the stone halls. Afterward, you retreat to your quarters with Lila, and together you recount the day's events, sharing quiet hopes for the future. Though simple and small, they are enough. In the presence of friendship, the weight of your life seems just a little lighter. As sleep draws near, you close your eyes and hold on to this feeling, the gentle comfort of belonging, of connection in a world often harsh and unforgiving. It is this quiet strength, more than any ritual or prayer, that sustains you. The rhythm of your days in the temple is not governed by clocks or bells, not in the way you might imagine in a modern world. Here, time flows like the river, broad, slow, always moving, always returning. The people of the temple do not count hours with ticking hands or numbered digits. Instead, they mark time with shadows and stars, with the flooding of the Tigris, and the waxing and waning of the moon. And you, like all priestess slaves of the temple, learn this rhythm not through formal lessons, but through quiet observation and patient repetition. The temple's rituals are deeply tied to the celestial movements above, and the agricultural cycles below. Every task, from the lighting of lamps to the gathering of herbs, finds its place in this larger pattern, a sacred rhythm that unites the divine, the natural and the human. Each season brings new responsibilities. In the season of planting, you and the others rise earlier than usual, long before the sun crests the horizon. The temple courtyard is still cloaked in the deep gray of pre-dawn, and the air is cool, laced with the scent of damp earth. Priestesses chant softly as they walk to the outer gardens, blessing baskets of seeds with water drawn from sacred wells. You assist by preparing the ceremonial tools, simple wooden ladles and woven baskets, washed and oiled for the rites. Nothing is wasted, nothing is excessive. Everything here has a place and purpose. On the first day of the sowing season, you walk in procession with the others, down the narrow stone path that leads to the temple fields. The high priestess carries a curved bronze sickle, dulled from use but still honored as sacred. At the edge of the field, she cuts a single stalk of wild grain, laying it gently on the ground. Then she kneels and touches her forehead to the earth. This act, so simple, is the start of a new cycle, a blessing for abundance. You watch this each year, feeling the same mix of reverence and quiet awe. The ritual is not about spectacle, it is about continuity. During the season of floods, the temple becomes a place of both worry and worship. The rivers bring life to the land, but they also bring uncertainty. Floodwaters can be generous, soaking the soil and making it fertile for the year to come, or they can overwhelm, sweeping away homes and crops. The temple holds ceremonies to honor the river gods, asking for their restraint and favor. You help prepare offerings, bowls of barley, dried fish and oil, laid upon reed mats and floated into the water on small rafts of bundled papyrus. As they drift away, so do your whispered prayers. Let the river be gentle, let the land be whole. These rituals are done not with fear, but with deep respect. For in Mesopotamia, the gods are not just in the sky, they are in the water, the soil, the stars, the wind. When summer arrives, it brings with it a long unbroken heat. The stones of the temple warm early in the day, and hold the sun's fire well into the night. Your duties continue, but everything slows. Movements are deliberate, chants are low and soft. There is a festival during the longest days of summer, a week of quiet offerings known as the Vigil of Fire and Dust. No loud celebration, no feasting, just silence, heat and patience. The fire lamps are kept burning both day and night, tended by pairs of priestesses working in shifts. You take your turn during the long hours of twilight. You sit beside the sacred flame, feeding it with thin strips of oil-soaked reed. The room is dim, the shadows long. You do not speak, you simply breathe and tend, until your shift is over. And though the work is still, it is not boring. You find a strange kind of comfort in the repetition. The act of keeping something alive, no matter how small, gives shape to your hours. Then comes the harvest, and with it, the grandest of rituals, the Feast of the Full Granary. The temple courtyard fills with people from the city and surrounding lands. They bring baskets of dates and jugs of beer, clay dolls and hand-woven cloth, each item a token of thanks to the gods. The high priestess, flanked by attendants dressed in white, recites long verses of gratitude beneath a sky filled with dust and sunlight. You assist in preparing the sacred meal, a slow methodical process that begins days in advance. You sort lentils and barley grain by hand. You wash dates until their skins shine. You help Lila roast strips of lamb over low coals while chanting hymns that have been sung for centuries. When the feast begins, you do not eat. You watch from the periphery, offering cups of watered wine and cooling cloths to elderly visitors. It is not your place to take part in the celebration, but it is your role to keep it moving. And that too holds a quiet dignity. As night falls and the final prayers are offered under the moon, you retreat once again to your mat, your body tired but your mind calm. You whisper a few lines of verse before sleep, lines you've memorized, not from reading, but from hearing them spoken, sung, whispered year after year. O moon, O eye of the night, guide our dreams as you guide the tide. You fall asleep before the line ends. Throughout all seasons, the temple's central structure, a circular observatory-like chamber, serves as the heart of celestial ritual. It is designed with precision. Small openings in the stone ceiling allow the sun or moonlight to pierce through only on certain days. These are the holy alignments, the sacred days when the heavens and earth are thought to speak directly to one another. When one such day arrives, a lunar alignment known as the Whispering Night, you are tasked with cleaning the inner sanctuary. The air is thick with anticipation. The high priestess has fasted in silence for 3 days in preparation. No one is allowed to speak within the chamber. You enter barefoot, carrying a bowl of sacred ash and a strip of white linen. The stone floor is cool, almost damp. The silence is profound, not just an absence of sound, but a deep presence in itself. As the moon rises, and its light enters through the opening above, it lands perfectly in the center of the room, illuminating the carved eye of the goddess on the floor. It is as if time itself pauses. You kneel, you clean, you breathe. You are not merely serving, you are participating in a moment that links the ancient past to the living present. Later, when the ritual is complete, and the priestesses file silently out of the chamber, you linger just a moment longer. You look up through the shaft of moonlight, and imagine the sky beyond, the vast endless tapestry that watches over you all. This, you think, is why we sing. This is why we kneel. This is why we remember, not out of fear, but out of awe. Through these celestial cycles, these seasonal rituals, your life finds structure and depth. The harshness of your servitude,
The limitations placed upon you are real, but within the temple's ancient heartbeat, you find something else too. You find meaning. And in a life lived without luxury or choice, meaning is no small thing. The morning light spills softly through the narrow windows of the temple quarters, casting long gentle shadows on the stone floor. As you awaken from a night's sleep filled with faint dreams of flowing rivers and whispering winds, the familiar sounds of temple life begin to stir around you. Footsteps echo softly in the corridors, the distant murmur of voices raised in morning chant. This is the world you know, the world you have inhabited for many years now. Your day begins with the same measured rhythm as always. A simple washing of hands and face, with cool water from the clay basin, the careful tying of your robe, and a quiet moment to gather your thoughts before stepping out into the soft light of the temple courtyard. The courtyard is already alive with activity. Other priestesses move gracefully between tasks, their faces serene yet focused. Some tend the small herb garden, fingers brushing tenderly over leaves of mint and thyme, their scents mingling in the warm air. Others carry bundles of reeds or baskets of dried fruit to the storerooms, their footsteps light and deliberate. Your first duty this morning is to assist in preparing the sacred incense for the day's offerings. The mixture is a carefully guarded secret, passed down through generations, made from resins, dried flowers, and rare woods. You measure each ingredient with care, the earthy aroma filling your hands and nose as you grind them finely with a stone mortar. The incense will later be burned in the temple's inner sanctum, the fragrant smoke rising like prayers to the gods. The act of preparation feels solemn, each movement deliberate and slow, as if in every grain lies a connection to the divine. While working, your thoughts drift to the years you have spent within these walls. Life here is difficult, without question. The labor is hard, the rules strict, and the days often long. Yet, in the quiet moments between tasks, you find small joys and comforts. You recall the friendship of Lila, whose gentle presence is a balm in the sometimes harsh environment of the temple. Together you share stolen smiles, whispered jokes, and the occasional comforting touch on a weary arm. These connections, though subtle, give strength and meaning to your daily routine. After the incense is prepared, you move to the storerooms to help organize supplies. The storerooms are cool and dim, lined with shelves stacked with clay jars, bundles of dried herbs, and woven baskets. The air smells faintly of earth and dust. As you work, your hands move with practiced ease, sorting and arranging, careful not to disturb the fragile balance of the neatly stacked goods. The task is repetitive but grounding, a moment of calm in the unfolding day. The storerooms also serve as a quiet refuge at times. Away from the eyes of overseers, you can breathe a little more freely here, listening to the soft rustle of dried leaves, or the occasional creak of wood settling. Later in the morning, you join the other priestesses for the midday meal. The food is simple, flatbread, lentil stew and fresh dates when available. The meal is eaten in silence or accompanied by soft chants, an unspoken ritual of humility and gratitude. Though the fare is plain, the act of eating together fosters a sense of community. Around you, faces reflect a mix of youth and experience, hope and weariness. You feel part of a shared story, a long thread woven through time. After the meal, the heat of the day settles over the temple. Work slows and many retreat to the shaded garden to rest. The garden is a sanctuary of sorts, with its fragrant herbs, blooming flowers, and the gentle trickle of the stone fountain at its center. You often find yourself here, during the hottest hours, seated beneath the broad leaves of a fig tree. The air hums softly with the buzzing of bees, and the scent of lavender and thyme mingles with the dust on the breeze. In these quiet moments, your thoughts turn inward. You reflect on the path that led you here, the choices made or perhaps never given to you. You think of the distant villages left behind, the faces of those you once knew, and the strange comfort of the temple's routine. Sometimes you wonder about the meaning of your service. What does it mean to be a priestess slave? To dedicate your life to gods you cannot see, to rituals passed down through countless generations. Is there honor here? Is there freedom? You do not seek answers in grand proclamations. Instead you find solace in small truths, the kindness of a fellow attendant, the feel of worn stone beneath your hands, the way the morning light plays across ancient carvings. As the afternoon wanes, you return to the temple halls to assist with the preparation for evening rites. This involves cleaning the sacred spaces, arranging offerings of fruit and grain, and lighting lamps to chase away the coming darkness. The work is quiet and methodical, a slow unfolding of tasks that calm the mind. Your fingers brush over carved reliefs depicting scenes of the goddess's mercy and power. These images, worn by time but still clear, remind you of the stories you have learned, the tales of creation, sacrifice and renewal. As twilight approaches, the temple comes alive with soft music. Harps and flutes fill the air with gentle melodies, their notes weaving through the stone corridors. The priestesses gather for the evening prayers, their voices rising in harmonious chant. You join the chorus, your voice blending with theirs, a soothing sound that lulls the temple into night. The prayers speak of protection, healing and peace, invoking the gods to watch over the city and its people. When the rites conclude, the temple falls into silence. You retreat once more to your quarters, the day's fatigue settling deep into your bones. As you lie down, the cool stone beneath you, your thoughts are quiet. You think of the countless days like this, each one filled with small tasks, quiet moments, and the slow passage of time. Though your life is constrained, there is a rhythm here, a steady pulse that carries you forward. Sleep comes gently, carrying you into dreams where the river flows endlessly, and the stars whisper secrets of the gods. The golden light of evening drifts softly through the temple's stone windows, casting long gentle shadows across the worn floor. The warmth of the day fades slowly, replaced by the cool hush of twilight. Outside, the city of ancient Mesopotamia begins its nightly quiet. The low murmur of distant voices, the flicker of lanterns moving through narrow streets, the faint rustling of palm fronds in a gentle breeze. Within the temple walls, the day's final rituals are winding down. The last prayers have been whispered, the final lamps lit to chase away the encroaching darkness. You sit quietly on your simple mat, the soft fabric beneath your hands worn smooth by years of use. The scent of dried herbs and incense lingers faintly in the air, mingling with the earthy smell of stone and dust. Tonight, as in many nights before, you allow yourself a moment of stillness, a pause to reflect on the life you have lived here, the days that have passed like steady footsteps across time. Your existence as a priestess slave is not marked by grandeur or freedom, but by small moments of grace hidden in routine and ritual. The life of a priestess slave is defined by service to the gods, to the temple, and to the community that depends on sacred rites for protection, health, and prosperity. From the dawn's first light to the quiet of night, your days are filled with tasks both mundane and sacred. Preparing offerings, tending sacred fires, cleaning the altars, and assisting the senior priestesses, all labor that demands patience, humility, and a steady heart. But beyond these duties, there is something else that sustains you, the knowledge that your work, no matter how small, weaves you into a larger tapestry of faith and tradition. The temple is more than stone and incense. It is a living center of your world, a place where the divine touches the everyday. As you settle into the cool evening air, your mind wanders to the early mornings you have known, those first moments when the city is still wrapped in sleep, and the temple is quiet, except for the gentle ripple of water in the sacred basin, the soft murmur of the priestess's chants, the delicate flicker of oil lamps, and the rhythmic movement of ritual preparation have all become familiar companions. You recall the scent of incense, resins crushed between worn stones, herbs gathered from the temple garden, the smoky curls that rise upward, carrying prayers beyond the reach of mortal hands. The act of preparing incense is a quiet ceremony in itself, one that connects you to generations before you, who performed the same sacred work. Each morning, as you grind the fragrant mixtures and arrange them carefully, you feel a gentle hum of purpose. Though your hands move automatically, your heart knows this is no simple chore. It is a sacred offering, a bridge between earth and the divine. Your thoughts then drift to the temple gardens, where herbs and flowers grow under the watchful eyes of the priestesses. Here, Amidst the greenery, life takes on a softer tone. The sweet scent of lavender, the sharp tang of mint, the delicate petals of wild flowers, all offer a quiet comfort in the midst of your demanding routine. You remember sitting beneath the fig tree, its broad leaves a canopy against the sun, watching the bees buzz lazily among the blossoms. These moments of respite, however brief, become precious. The world beyond the temple walls may be harsh and unforgiving, but here, in this green sanctuary, there is a fragile peace. The companionship of your fellow priestesses brings another form of comfort. In a life where freedom is limited, friendship is a lifeline. You recall shared laughter, quiet conversations held in shadows, and the small kindnesses exchanged in the midst of daily toil. These relationships form a quiet rebellion against the loneliness that might otherwise consume you. Though the life of a priestess slave is often one of silence and submission, there are times when your voice rises in song or prayer. The chants that fill the temple halls are woven from ancient words, their meanings deeply felt, even if not fully understood. Together with others, you create a chorus that echoes through stone and time, a shared expression of hope and devotion. As night deepens, the temple's atmosphere shifts. The bustle of the day fades, replaced by a serene stillness. The lamps burn low, casting flickering shadows on the carved reliefs that depict gods and goddesses, stories of creation, and tales of divine power. These images, though weathered, speak to you in a language older than words, reminding you of your place in a long and unbroken chain. Your quarters, simple and sparse, offer a quiet refuge at the day's end. The thin mat on the floor, the rough woven blanket, and the small wooden chest that holds your few belongings are modest comforts. Yet, here, in the stillness, you find space for your thoughts to settle. You reflect on the many years you have spent here, the sacrifices, the hardships, the small victories, the sense of duty that has shaped your life, and the quiet resilience that has allowed you to endure. There is no bitterness in your reflections, only a deep understanding of the nature of your existence. You were brought to this place, not by choice but by circumstance, yet within these walls, you have carved out a life of meaning and quiet strength. You think of the rituals you have witnessed, the lighting of fires, the pouring of libations, the careful arrangement of offerings. Each ceremony, a step in the cycle of life and death, hope and renewal. Each moment a reminder that even in servitude, there is a place for reverence and grace. The gods you serve remain unseen, their presence felt rather than seen. You imagine their watchful eyes, their eternal gaze that holds both judgment and mercy. Your prayers, whispered in the dim light, carry your hopes and fears into the night sky. Sleep approaches gently, like a soft wave rolling over the shore. Your body, tired but steady, sinks into rest. Dreams carry you beyond the temple walls, across rivers and deserts, under star-studded skies, into realms where gods walk among mortals. In these dreams, you find freedom, not the freedom of leaving, but a freedom of the spirit, a quiet flight into possibility and peace. And as the night deepens, the temple stands watch, silent, steadfast, eternal. If you haven't already, now is the perfect time to get cozy, settle in, and let your body relax. Close your eyes slowly, breathe deeply, and allow the calm rhythm of this story to carry you gently toward restful sleep. Tomorrow will bring another day of labor and prayer, but for now, there is only the soft embrace of night, the whisper of ancient stones, and the slow, steady beat of a heart that endures.